Number 10, Tom Brady, 2011 season opener against the Miami Dolphins. After being upset in the AFC divisional round the year previously against the New York Jets, the New England Patriots definitely had a lot to prove. And reigning MVP Tom Brady was the one to set the tone, as he had a career game, putting up 517 yards and 4 touchdown passes, including a 99-yard hitch pass to Wes Welker, as the Patriots beat the Dolphins 38-24. This passing performance would set the tone for a ton of quarterbacks, as 2011 is regarded as the year of the quarterbacks. Number 9, Earl Campbell versus the Miami Dolphins, 1978. In 1978, a young rookie took the NFL by storm, as Earl Campbell was establishing himself as one, if not the best running back in the league. It had been a long time since you saw someone like Earl Campbell, a 5'11", 232-pound running back, running a 4.4 40 time. Campbell was one bad dude. It's week 12, and the Oilers host the Dolphins in the legendary Astrodome. And Earl had a game for the ages, rushing for 199 yards and 4 touchdowns. The play that sealed the deal was when the Oilers were up 28-24 with 2 minutes left in the game, and Campbell went the distance with an 81-yard touchdown to put the game out of reach and led the Oilers to a 35-30 win. Number 8, Packers Vikings, 2000. There have obviously been iconic moments to happen in the bitter Packers-Vikings rivalry. One of them would come in the 2000 matchup in week 10 of that season. Now, nothing crazy really happened during the regulation of this game, unless you want to count this shovel pass made by Brett Favre, or this error that happened in the fourth quarter that could have won the game for the Vikings, or the raining weather that caused that error to happen. So never mind, a couple of weird things happened in this game, but overall it was a nice, steady, competitive game, hence going into overtime. Now overtime, however, is where the madness happened. First, the Packers won the coin toss and didn't look back. With 11 minutes left in the game, on 3rd and 4, Brett Favre made a pass to Antonio Freeman, and as you can see, the ball bounces off of Vikings quarterback Chris Dishman's hands, who thought it was an incomplete pass, but then the ball bounces off of Freeman's back before he caught it while being on the grass, then gets back up to take it to the house to win the game for the Packers. Talk about a wild ending, and that's as wild as it gets. Number 7, Bo Jackson versus Seahawks, 1987. Earlier I mentioned that we hadn't seen running backs like Earl Campbell, but what I didn't mention is the prototype of influence that we would see in the running back position. Although we had seen running backs like OJ and Jim Brown, Campbell would influence more thicker, faster running backs, specifically in college football, like Marcus Dupree, Eric Dickerson, and Herschel Walker. And in that mix would be a 2-sport athlete named Bo Jackson from Auburn. Jackson played both baseball and football and would come off of winning the Heisman Trophy for Best Collegiate Football Player in 1985 and would get drafted by both the Buccaneers and the Kansas City Royals in 1986. But Bo wouldn't play in the NFL till the very next year in Week 8. 4 weeks later, after his NFL debut in Week 12, Bo and the Raiders would get ready to face the Seattle Seahawks in the Kingdome. Before the game, Seahawks linebacker and college superstar Brian Bosworth, aka The Boss, was running his mouth, saying that he would contain Bo, and the Boss did contain Bo to a Monday Night Football record of 221 rushing yards. This included a 91-yard rushing touchdown, very similar to Earl Campbell's run against the Dolphins. And to add insult to injury, on the 3rd and goal, Bo would commit a murder as he ran over the Boss football announcer Dan Dierdorf said,
"Sorry, 220 beats 240 easily."
Number 6, Michael Vick versus the Redskins, 2010. After 23 months of serving prison time, Michael Vick signed with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2009 as a backup. But once Donovan McNabb left a year later, Vick would finally get to become the starting quarterback. And now that he got a second chance and wanting to prove that he hadn't lost a step, what better way to do that than on Monday Night Football against the bitter rival Washington Redskins, whose starting quarterback was ironically former Eagles QB Donovan McNabb. From there onwards, it was just an onslaught, as the Eagles put up 59 points, the most points a team had scored on Monday Night Football, and that was all done in 3 quarters. To add to that, the Eagles put up 592 total yards, which is a franchise record till this day. The man of the hour was obviously Michael Vick, as he had 413 yards from scrimmage and 6 total touchdowns, 4 touchdown passes, and 2 rushing touchdowns. This is definitely one of the most electrifying games in recent Monday night history, and Vick has always been a player who personifies the word electrifying. Number 5, Brett Favre, 2003, the game dedicated to his father. On December 21st, a day before the Packers' Week 16 matchup against the Raiders, Brett Favre's dad, Irvin Favre, died of a heart attack at age 58. Favre, who had not missed a game since his second season, obviously had second thoughts of sitting out this game. After all, the Raiders were a mediocre 4-10 team, and the Packers would have probably pulled away with a win, even without Brett Favre playing. But when reflecting on this game in later interviews, Favre spoke about the aha moment he had.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. Of all the guys whose fathers were coaching, I mean, there's no doubt that he get your ass out there and play. Are you crazy? I mean, I could see him saying that. I was so worried that I would lay an egg in that game. And I think people watching would say, hey, it's understandable. His father just passed away. I didn't want that. I wanted to leave that game and be proud of the way I played and want him to say, hey, you played well.
And that was it. Instead of sitting out, he decided to honor his father for playing one of the best games he had ever played, throwing 4 touchdown passes and 399 yards as the Packers pummeled the Raiders 41-7. There was no better way to honor the man who put the football in his hands, and by playing, that's exactly what Brett Favre did. Number 4, 1994, Chiefs versus the Broncos. Well, you can't go wrong with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks going up against each other, especially when it's 2 divisional rivals. With Joe Montana joining the Chiefs in 1993, him and John Elway would be facing each other twice a year. And this would be the second to last time both QBs would be going up against each other. And they did not disappoint, as these 2 QBs duked it out in Mile High Stadium. As far as statistics go, John Elway would go 18 for 29 and throw for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns with no interceptions, while Joe Montana would go 34 for 54, throw 393 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. This game would go to the wire, and in the remaining minutes of the game, and in the twilight of Joe Montana's career, he would pull off some magic as he led the Chiefs on a game-winning drive, as he connected with receiver Willie Davis to lead the Chiefs to a 31-28 win. Number 3, Dan Marino, 1985 versus the Chicago Bears. The 85 Bears are regarded as one of the greatest teams ever, and on this Monday Night Football game against the Dolphins, the Bears entered the game hoping to go 13-0. But the QB who wore number 13 on the Dolphins wasn't having any of it, as Dan Marino torched the 85 Bears by going 14 for 27, passing for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns, as the Dolphins handed the Bears the only loss of the season, beating them 38-24. You may look at those stats as just another good QB game, but when you watch the game and you see how discombobulated the 85 Bears defense looked all night trying to get to Marino, I could have not made this list without including the passing touchdown holder for Monday Night Football. Number 2, Peyton Manning's comeback against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2003. It's week 5 of the 2003 NFL season, and the Colts started off the season real good as they were 4-0 coming into this game. Looking to continue their hot streak, they would be on the road facing the defending Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And honestly, the Buccaneers needed no introduction. They had their Hall of Fame defense with Warren Sapp, Derrick Brooks, John Lynch, blah blah blah. And also, Colts head coach Tony Dungy, who formerly coached the Buccaneers, would be making his return back to Tampa for the first time since being fired from the Bucs just a year prior. So not only was this the real test for the Colts, but the Buccaneers wanted nothing more than to whoop their former coach and his current team. And boy did they jump on the Colts, as the Buccaneers were killing the Colts with their defense, shutting down the mighty Colts offense, leading by just as much as 21 points with 5 minutes left in the game. Ronde Barber would pick Peyton Manning off for a pick 6, which seemed like the dagger, and it looked like the Colts' winning streak would be coming off to an end. But a weird turn of events would happen. First, Brad Pat would complete a 90-yard kick return. Then a couple of possessions later, Colts running back James Monroe scored a touchdown with about 3 minutes left in the game. Then the Colts attempted an onside kick with the Buccaneers fumbling the ball, and the Colts would recover to gain possession again. Then a minute later, Manning would connect with receiver Marvin Harrison for a 28-yard touchdown. Moments later, the Colts would be successful with another onside kick and gain possession. Then the Colts would go to the distance with a late game drive that would lead running back Ricky Williams for a touchdown. Not the Ricky Williams that you're thinking of, by the way. This sent the game to overtime, and the Bucs would win the coin toss for overtime and gain possession, but they weren't successful, which then led the Colts to gain possession and set up Mike Vanderjagt for a 40-yard field goal attempt to win the game. And number 1, Chiefs Rams 2018. Going into week 11 of the 2018 regular season, this game was highly anticipated, as both teams were going into this game with a 9-1 record. And if there was a game that defines living up to expectations, it would be this one. In the highest scoring Monday Night Football game ever, Patrick Mahomes and Jared Goff went blow for blow, as Goff went 31 for 49, throwing for 413 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Mahomes went 33 for 46, 478 yards and 6 touchdowns. With a minute and 56 seconds left in the game, Goff threw a 40-yard bomb to Gerald Everett, which would become the eventual game-winning touchdown. The game ends with LaMarcus Joyner intercepting Mahomes with 25 seconds left in the game to seal the victory, as the Rams won 54-51. Although we were deprived of a Super Bowl matchup between these two teams in their peak,